But I'm not going to talk too much. I'm going to introduce a man that believes he can be the best for UKIP, and I know many of you here actually believe that. So I would like to introduce Mr. Ben Walker.
Right, good evening everybody, and thank you very much for coming. It's a pleasure to have been invited up to you, and I know there's a little bit of confusion in trying to get to Bolton as well, but I'm glad to see so many members from Bolton here tonight, so that's absolutely brilliant. So, who am I? I am Ben Walker. I am one of the 10 candidates now, because one dropped out yesterday to support somebody else. I won't say too much about that because they're, in my opinion, kind of non-entities anyway, really, but I'm just going to talk to you about me. So, yeah, Ben Walker, I am a grassroots man, and that is exactly where we should be. And for those of you that do not know my name, that is a good thing. And the reason it is a good thing is because I am not part of the establishment which has been born within our very own party, UKIP, the anti-establishment party. Something quite wrong there, don't you think? Now, like I said, grassroots guy. So for me, I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I am ex-Royal Navy. I served in the Afghan War. I do work. I run a construction company now. So effectively, I am a builder by trade, very much working class, always have been. I have a young-ish family, 4 children, 18 to 7 months, believe it or not. So I've kind of got my work cut out there, although I'm never around at the moment. But that's kind of me, okay? I have also been a town councillor, I've been a district councillor, I've been a mayor twice, and I've been a vice chair of a local authority. And like I say, that is where UKIP needs to be focusing. Now what we've got at the moment is a situation where our party is kind of upside down. We've focused for far too long on lots of positions and lots of roles that served us well at the time. Not so much now. Now, you won't hear me say this a lot, and I won't talk about it too long because it upsets me far too much, but the Liberal Democrats have a lesson that we can learn from. That's all I'm going to say about them, okay? But they build from the bottom up. They work in areas, they get councillors elected, they work really hard in communities, and then from that they build a base for an MP to be elected, and then they keep that MP. That's exactly what we need to be doing, and we're not, and we haven't, but we should. And I'm saying to you now that if I was elected leader, that is exactly the focus that I'm going to have. It's grassroots, it's bottom up. I want to see a membership that is empowered. I want to see a structure that is essentially all about the membership. So gone are the days of when you go to a branch meeting, and although I've spoken to Bolton and they're really successful, I need more information on that, which I'll get afterwards. But the truth is, I want a situation where members know what they're doing. You don't go to branch meetings where there's no direction, no strategy, no information. You're making it up yourselves. You're completely isolated. And we don't want a situation where our elected members, not MEPs, but councillors, they don't know what they're doing either. That has to stop. You know, for too long now, this party has had no direction. We went into the Brexit debate and then the referendum, and I don't think as a party we had any strategy. I don't think we had a strategy if we won or if we lost. And I think that was plainly evident when we came out of it. You know, ever since that, you know, we rode on the crest of a wave for a very short spell of time. But the truth is, we've then been dying off ever since. And I understand that we went from that and we went into you know, a general election campaign that nobody expected. But let's be honest, okay? You know, candidates will talk to you about their great vision for the UK and all these policy ideas that they've got. And they're all great. They're all brilliant. And I've got loads, and I'll talk about some of them. But the truth is, the elephant in the room is us. You know, we are ineffective now as a political party. And the trouble is, I honestly believe, and I am not a conspiracy theorist, but I do believe that there's people in our party who are actively working against our interests. And if they are not, they're doing a really bad job. And if I'm elected leader, I want to get rid of these people. So for me, as elected leader, there is one job that is in the gift of the leader to appoint and to get rid of, and that's the chairman. So day one, our current chairman, Mr. Ogden, gets his P45. I haven't got anything against Paul per se. It's not a personal attack. He is one of the grand masters of our failure. For too long within UKIP, we have suppressed talent and we've rewarded failure. And that can't happen. That cannot happen, and it will not happen under my watch. Absolutely not. We have an abundance of talent within the party, huge amounts. And the trouble is, we're losing that now. We're hemorrhaging it day by day. The fact is, we got up to what, 40,000 members? They're saying we're down to 30. That's bad enough in itself. But the truth is, there's loads of people out there who aren't going to renew. So the figures are false now. I suspect that I'm very much like you guys, your renewals come through and you've got it on the kitchen side and you're like, oh, I just don't know. What are we doing, What is UKIP now? What are we talking about? And this is the problem that we've got. So we've got to get our vision right. So for me, like I say, it's a platform of change, all right? So it's an empowered membership. It's about supporting you at the grassroots. So I want to see branches supported. When you go into your campaigns, be it local elections, county, district, whatever it is, okay, I do not want a situation whereby you are running around, trying to get information, trying to get leaflets, you name it. I don't want that. What I want is ROs in position, all right, professional ROs who are going to be paid properly to do the job properly. So they're going to have the same terms of reference, they're going to be doing the same kind of rollout of training, rollout of information right across the UK. So we're all singing from the same hymn sheet. And they're giving you the information. So they're then saying to you, right, you've got a county election coming up, brilliant, right. Here's your 2 leaflets, okay. Here's the national stuff on them, the 3 points. What's your local stuff? Because there's no point us talking to you about ban the burqa, so people get vitamin D. None of that rubbish. We want to know about local stuff. Because that's where we're going to succeed. And that's where we've gone wrong. And that's what I want to put right. So the RO is going to be professionalised, much in the same way as the party will itself. So then, with the structure, I would very much like to see a situation whereby regional or county chairmen take up roles or some representation on the NEC. The NEC needs to be completely and utterly changed. It is defunct. It acts against the interests of the party, and it's just not right. That goes hand in hand with reform of the Constitution. The Constitution needs to be rewritten as well. We can't move forward with the current management structure that we've got. Now, I am not a huge advocate or fan of the NEC. I am not. But they are used as a human shield. So if we look at the last general election, for example, okay, the absolute... It was a catastrophe, wasn't it? It was ridiculous, we were terrible, we've got to be very, very honest about that. But the truth is, the NEC were given the manifesto 1 hour before Mr. Nuttall was going on TV. Now, you cannot expect the NEC to be able to go through that, make amendments, changes, recommendations. It's not going to happen. So what you've got now is an NEC who kind of act against the party's interest, and a management team who use the NEC as well, all against the interests of the party, all against us trying to move forward in a positive way. That has to end. So, hopefully, if we have an NEC that's more representative of the party itself, with local people, it could be, and the groups that exist within UKIP itself, that's a good thing. So, like I said, the chairman goes. I also want to then see a professional fundraiser right at the top of the party. Someone who can advise branches on how to make money, because obviously that's what we've got to do, unfortunately, but someone who is an absolute professional. And I'm pleased to tell you, although I won't name them yet, we have someone who has been at the top, with me this is, no one else, this is just me. So we have someone who's been at the top of their game, and they've worked for a major political party before, doing exactly that. And they're willing to come on board with me. That's a big thing for us, fundraising. Centrally, what I would like to see in UKIP is a professional policy unit, okay? Now, again, all of these things that I'm talking about, they're going to cost a bit of money, but I'm going to tell you how I'm going to pay for them in a little bit anyway. But this professional policy unit will sit at the heart of UKIP. I don't want a situation where people who are deemed to be, you know, the top brass in the party are sitting in a darkened room scribbling out our policy on the back of a fag packet. That's not going to happen, all right? We have a professional policy unit who are going to test, they're going to cost policy, and then we're going to run it forward, and we're going to have a rolling manifesto, a vision that runs every day of the year, all right? So we're not going to get caught out with snap elections. We're going to have our policy platform always there. And that helps because people can see it on the website, you know, they can look at it and they see exactly what we stand for. And they, you know, so people can't say, oh, UKIP, don't you believe in this? It's like, no, actually, don't check the website. That's not even on our policy, what are you on about? But that's what we want, something like that. And with this policy unit as well, it's going to be open to you guys. So if you've got an idea on policy, and you can put it together in a letter, a phone call, an email, you can put it to the policy unit, and they'll test it and they'll cost it. And if it works, we'll run with it. We'll introduce it, it'll get voted on. You know, we've got to be embracing the ideas and the talent within the party. Now, other candidates will talk about, I'm going to have to mention it, aren't I? But like, you know, direct democracy, stuff like that. Now, all very good. It sounds very good, but it's all computerised. Now, we've got to be honest about where our membership lies as well. Yes, we have young members. We also have a huge amount of older members and lots of people who don't use the internet and don't use computers as freely and as readily as many others. So I don't want a situation where I'm driving you all to go online. I want to talk to you. That's what I want to do. This is how we're going to do business. So that's what I want. So centrally, policy unit, chair's gone, structure, the whole structure that we've got already, we revitalise, we get working, okay? Because that's what the party needs. And then with a few changes in management, we start to purge the vile bile that is at the top of our party. And I've got to be honest with you, okay? For us to move forward in a positive way, we're going to have to get smaller. And when I say that, I mean there's lots of people in the party now, like I said earlier, I don't believe are actually that interested in being in the party anyway. They just want to do damage to us. So for us to get rid of those sorts of people and then drive forward with a new vision, you know, new ideas, I think that's a good thing. And then we'll attract more people. So, when it comes to money, you may well know, or may not know, there's a lot of figures being bandied around, but the party itself is currently teetering on the edge of a cliff. So not only have we got all the problems with our vision, you know, with the joke that we've become to the electorate, we've got these problems internally of infighting, separate groups, constantly fighting against each other, and the finances. So UKIP is in debt, or in the red if you like, to the tune of around about £450,000. We have two donors at the moment who are minded to call up loans for around about the tune of £120,000. We pay our chairman, remember the guy who's going under my watch, day one, we pay him just shy of £100,000. We have just signed a lease, or a lease renewal for our head office in Newton Abbot for £56,000 a year. And what are we doing? Exactly. Why are we doing this? What are we doing? All right, this has to stop. The reason that we can't attract donors isn't because we're just so nuts or anything like that. It's because we can't run anything properly. We have people at the top who are, like I say, actively working against us. This has to change. You know, we're not going to drive forward, we're not going to be effective, and we're not going to resonate with the electorate whilst we run ourselves like a really bad bottom of the league Sunday football team. We can't, we're a professional party, and that's what we need to be. A professional party with policies on every area, okay? A vision to drive forward, you know, selling an attraction to people. You know, we've done it before. If we roll the clock back just ever so slightly, back to 2015, we got almost 4 million votes. Now, I know that didn't translate into seats, but come on, that's pretty good, isn't it? We had a good platform. Why have we decided to sort of rip that up and start again with this integration agenda and dividing communities even more? That's not what we're about. What I am and I'm sure what you are as well, if you read the Constitution, that also kind of gives you an idea of what we are. I am a classic libertarian. I am a small state, low tax guy. That's what I want. Any regulation we don't have a huge amount of it, but the regulation we do have has teeth, and it works. You know, we've got to be a patriotic party. We have to be. And we have to sell that message. There is a huge, huge gap in British politics for a party such as ours. And we're missing a trick. We're absolutely missing a trick. You know, if you look at the way that we ran the last general election campaign, I can only speak for my area here, but you know, I'm the parliamentary candidate, and I decided not to stand. We had a Tory MP who very weakly came out in support of Brexit at the end, and I thought, well, in the interest of the UK, I'll take the party's advice and we won't stand. Now I think that was a massive own goal, and I made a mistake there. I made a mistake and the party did. They made a mistake. The truth is, if I look at my branch, and I know it's very similar to ones around here, there is a huge element of those branches, and mine, which are old Labour.
Yeah.
Now, old Labour people can resonate and understand UKIP policy. They cannot understand Tory policy. Now, when you go and ask an old Labour voter to go and vote Tory in the interest of Brexit, that's like Leeds fans going to watch a Bolton game. It's not going to happen. It's not.
Not even when.
Well, yeah. But do you know what I mean? You know, we were asking people that just could not, you know, in their soul, they could not do it. And we thought they would. You know, we thought they'd back Tories. And they didn't. You know, they ended up backing the Labour Party. And what a mess they are.
Yeah.
You know, not only are they wallpapering over cracks, so are the Labour Party. So are the Tory Party. They both are. You know, we have lent a lot of our support to those major parties. And I'm sure that with a clear vision and a leader that can resonate with these people, relate to them, we'll get them back. I'm sure of that. And then you've got to think about, you know, around about the 19 million people who don't vote. You know, we've got to be engaging with those people. Say we got half of them. My God, we're in amongst it. We've got to be honest about where we're going, you know. We're not. Be the government. No, we're not going to be the government. Let's be honest, we're not. What we need to be is we need to be a credible party. You know, one that people can believe in. And once we do that, and we're winning council seats, and we're holding them, and then actually we're coming second, we're coming first when it comes to the general election, you know, that's when we're going to be a real thing. And that's where we need to be. Now, that may well mean that we don't say we're going to put a candidate in 650 seats across the UK. Maybe that's not the smart thing to do. I've stood, it cost me a huge amount of money. You know, I helped and ran the council campaign as well, which was at the same time as the 2015 general election. It cost me around about £10,000. Nobody from UKIP ever said to me, "Well done, Ben, thanks for that." No one. How can we expect? How can we expect our members to carry on doing the same old thing when we can't even say thank you? You know, we've got patrons now in the party. We used to have around 400. We've now got 200. They're dropping off because they don't believe in the party anymore. They don't even get a thank you or like, "Why have you left?" There's nothing. I mean, what are we doing? This is basics, you know? If we can't do this, then we might as well pack up and go out.
Yeah.
And that's where I think these people want us to be. That's where the mainstream media want us to be. You know, this message that they keep selling about us, we live up to it, don't we? We believe it, and we let it happen. Now, we've kind of got into a phase, really, with the leadership election itself, whereby, I guess, it's open season now. We're not, as candidates, not being as nice to one another as we were in the beginning. I mean, I'm not going to slate anybody. I'm not. But when you pick your next leader, you need to think about two things. One is the person that's they're the dog with the bone. They are going to fix this party. Now, anybody says to you that that's the chairman's job, that's wrong. It is the chairman's job, but the leader drives this party. They have to have their eye on the ball with everything. You know, I love Nigel Farage, but the problem that he had is he never beat down the NEC. But actually, did he ever really want to? But we're at a stage now where we need to, because if we don't, we die. It's that serious, okay? And the truth is, if I get elected leader and the NEC don't want to play ball with me, that's fine, because I'll start my own campaign as leader to get the 75% of the votes needed from branches to change the NEC. I'm sure they'll agree with me. It's pretty clear with me where I stand on the party. The party has to change. It's the first thing that we need to do. Now, when it comes to a vision about the UK, I've got loads. So one of the main things for me is obviously defence. I come from a defence background. I think that we are sort of running our defences into the ground as it stands. We currently spend, well, you hear this figure, 2% of GDP, they always talk about that. Brilliant, great. You think, oh, that's nice, you know, spending that. Truth is, we need to be spending 3 just to stand still. Yeah. The reason that we keep getting hit hard by defence reviews is because we can't even do that. We can't even meet our current commitments, which is why they keep cutting the life out of the services. You know, we need to fix that. So defence is key to me. I want to be the party of law and order. Now, this is something that's completely been kicked into the long grass by, well, definitely the Labour Party, but more so, interestingly as well, the Conservatives. Now, this is something where in the past they've kind of, you know, they lead on it. They are the party of law and order. They're not now, and they haven't been for a long time. And we need to be there. We need to be the party that is that. So what I'm saying is that, you know, hopefully we come out of the EU. That's kind of the plan, isn't it? We'll come to that in a minute. But what we need to be saying then is we want our own Bill of Rights, a British Bill of Rights. Forget the European rubbish, we want our own. We'll take the good bits from yours and we'll add our own in as well. That's what we want. And what we want, first and foremost, is one rule of law for all. That's it. And that is our law. Nobody else's, that's British law, okay? So I won't get into the minutiae of that, but what it generally means is that that's it. When it comes to religious councils, all of this stuff, it ends. It ends, we don't want it, it's not going to happen. And that will start to deal with some of the problems that we do have in this country. When it comes to prisons, I would like to renationalise the prison service. And we make prison a punishment, because it isn't in the moment. So, basically, it would be a situation whereby you go to prison, you spend most of your time in a cell, you don't have access to your friends to you know, come up with new kind of ways to carry out different forms of crime, you don't have any access to drugs, drink, and you don't have access to electronic gaming and stuff like that. You know, you'll be exercised. Don't get me wrong. You know, I'm not completely inhumane. You'll be exercised, you'll be fed, you'll be watered, but that is it. And I'm sure that I could cut that budget in half. I'm sure of it. You go to prison, that's it. At the door, you lose your rights. You lose your right to vote, and actually, you kind of, when you mug that granny, or you stab that guy down the park, or whatever it is, you've lost all your rights, I'm afraid, and you'll be treated as such. And that's what I say when it comes to law and order. Obviously, there's more stuff. More stuff, but check the website, it's all there anyway. We won't go on at you tonight about that. Voting reform, another huge one for me. I think that we have to take this on as one of our core values, or core messages, issues, policy. We have been in a situation whereby if we'd have had something like proportional representation, we probably wouldn't be talking this way now. We'd have had MPs in Westminster, we'd have been in a better state than we are now. Truth is, we're not, and the only party talking about this is kind of, I'm saying it again, the Liberal Democrats, but forget that. But they're the only ones that kind of run with it. We need to master it. That needs to be our thing. And if we make it ours, we make it. If we dominate it, the thing is, the other parties, the two-party state that we exist in, they don't want it. It doesn't serve them. It serves us. Let's run with it. And if we do run with it, what we will do then is we will then engage with young people, because lots of young people are already on board with that stuff. They want PR, you know. So for me, voting reform has got to be key. And I'd go as far to say is I believe that we need a second chamber for scrutiny or something like that. But that could be the Lords. But what would happen? Hereditary peers go. You are elected to the Lords, and you do not sign on for your 300 quid every day and then disappear in a taxpayer-funded taxi and then down the pub or whatever. That all changes. So voting reform has to be key for us. When it comes to the NHS, another thing, I'd like to merge health and social care with the NHS. Let's cut that out. Let's make the experience better for people. That has to happen. There's many things. I mean, the NHS, you know, we could go on and on and on for hours about the NHS. I want to keep that free at the point of delivery. It has to be, okay? But there's things that we can change there, like the PFI deals.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like, I don't know about the hospitals that you've got up here, but like for me, one near me, Southmead Hospital, to change a light bulb there, it costs 246 quid.
Yes.
And that's because it goes to a level of contractors.
Yeah.
The NHS is paying over the odds time and time again, just for the building that they deliver treatment in.
Yeah.
We need to change that. And we also need to change the fact that you have non-clinical managers, people that have never done any clinical training whatsoever, making decisions about your treatment. That has to change.
Yeah.
You know, there are people, there's too many managers already in the NHS, we know that.
Yeah.
And we need more people at the front, you know, at the coalface, delivering the treatment, all the care, that sort of stuff. But if these managers were gone, and they're not doing that, because at the moment, it's someone like that who's never been to university to study any sort of medical training, but they're saying if you have your operation on the morning or not. They are. Wrong. Has to change. Another thing, well, you could actually, if I'm being fair to the managers, we could use them, or some of them, because at the moment we treat lots and lots of foreign nationals under our NHS system now, and we don't get the money back. But they do. Those other countries do, and we don't, and that's a trick that we're missing. So, what have I said? Voting reform. I'm just trying to think now. But, I mean, I could go on for hours talking about my vision, but like I said, you can see all of this on the website, and I'll talk to you afterwards and answer any questions that you have on policy and stuff like that. But the truth is, we cannot fix the house in London until we fix our own house. And I know that might be boring, and I'm going on about it, but it's the truth. You know, for far too long, you know, people like you, the beating heart of what this party is, have had no direction, none. You know, it's the stiff British upper lip thing, isn't it? It's like, carry on, keep calm, carry on. No, we can't do that anymore. We can. And you, like I said, you've got to pick someone who you know is going to fix the party. A dog with a bone, that's me. But the next thing is you need to pick someone who is going to actually maybe attract other people, new voters, a different section that we've never targeted before. We need to be the party of the working class. We have to be. That is what I am, and I'm sure that's what all of you are. And I'm not saying just your typical blue-collar worker. I'm talking about a patriotic person who believes in his country, who works hard, they pay their taxes, they go home, and they support their families. That's the sort of people that I think we need to represent, and I think at the moment aren't, generally, throughout the choices that they may have when it comes to, you know, voting for certain parties and certain people. But anyway, I would much rather not talk to you for hours, of which I could do. Right, okay.
So, I would like to thank Ben and his team for making sure they could get here tonight. I know you had other things planned. So I just want a nice warm welcome for Ben. So thank you.
Thank you.